So Jeffrey, you were recently in Washington, D.C. What were you there for?
Well, Brandy and I attended actually the yearly CJD Foundation conference, which brings families that unfortunately are impacted by this horrific disease together, along with top researchers from around the world to share their latest research on hopefully finding a cure.
Right, and recently we were having a conversation just outside and you were mentioning that there has been a budget cut. Why has there been a $6 million budget cut?
The current administration, the Trump administration, did cut $6 million, which was earmarked for the CDC, which is the Communicable Disease Center based in Atlanta, Georgia, who works closely with the CJD Foundation. $3 million of the $6 million goes directly to the Prion Surveillance Center, which is the one center in the United States that can clearly determine whether someone has gotten CJD, and this money is so badly needed. So we went up to Capitol Hill to try to make sure that that money is put back into the budget.
So for the listeners who are actually watching or viewers watching this video, what would you like them to do? How can they support you in your fight to get more money for funding, or what would you like them to do to help you support your campaign?
Well, thank you. I think that's a wonderful question. Even though CJD is what we refer to for the most part in the United States as an orphan disease, meaning that there aren't as many people that get inflicted with this disease, even though the numbers are growing daily. There is something that is starting to impact the U.S., which I believe is also faced with impacting countries outside the U.S., which is chronic wasting disease, CWD. We have 22 states here in the U.S. that have now shown reindeer, deer, elk, moose that have been impacted by this disease. What is not known yet is whether a human can pick the disease up from these animals. So research is having to be done also to make sure that that doesn't happen.
So similar to mad cow disease,
Correct.
There is a concern that the wildlife, if people are eating it as game, that they could actually be
Correct.
affected. Now there's also two sides to this, because you can either get it from eating infected protein, but also it's a genetic disease.
In the case, yes. In the case of my wife and her family, my father-in-law actually passed away 4 years ago from CJD, and his brother died 17 years earlier from the same disease. My wife's uncle was 57, my father-in-law was 63, and we were told that the form that he died from was genetic, or what's called familial, which means that my wife, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law run the risk of carrying the mutation for this disease.
Right. So this is why it's very important to do the research to find out. At the moment you're saying there is no cure, but with the research that maybe can help develop a cure, or maybe some screening.
Correct. I mean, much like what's happening on the cancer front, other neurological diseases such as Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's, the one shining light right now for us as a family is that Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's, Huntington's disease, and now CJD all seem to maybe have a relationship because of protein, which is the main cause of CJD. So we're hoping that with all the funding that goes to the more well-known diseases, that some of that funding will trickle down to CJD so we can get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so for our viewers out there who want to support your campaign, do you have a Facebook page or a website that they can go to?
If you search CJD Foundation, you will go directly to the U.S. page for the CJD Foundation, which is on Facebook, and any support certainly would be greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you so much, Jeffrey Evans, all the way from America. Well, I'm actually in LA. For 2RRR 88.5 FM. We certainly would like to keep up to date with what's happening with your campaign, and next time I'm here, or if you ever come to Sydney, please come into our studios.
Thank you so very much for this opportunity.
You're welcome.